This is Nightline and I'm Liyana Hassanel. The top stories. Stable government needed to ensure economic growth and people's welfare, says PM. And upcoming state elections, PHNBN reach understanding with seat allocations. Good morning. The unity government is focused on promoting economic growth to ensure the people's welfare and well-being is looked after. Speaking at the Negeri Sembilan Government and Malaysia Madani Hari Raya Open House on Sunday, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said that for this to be possible, there has to be a stable government that can focus on formulating and executing policies and plans tailored for their needs.
Ini dilakukan kerana dia yakin dengan pimpinan dan kestabilan. Dia yakin dengan dasar dan masa depan Malaysia. Sebab itu kita tekankan kestabilan politik ini sangat penting. Sebelum ini sudah tahu.
The Prime Minister cited Amazon as an example, which only announced its plan to invest billions in Malaysia and make this country as their base after the unity government was formed. He also revealed that automobile company Geely has agreed to invest billions of ringgit in Malaysia and turn it into a regional hub. At the same event, Datuk Seri Anwar also announced a total allocation of 1.2 billion ringgit for implementation of socio-economic development in Negeri Sembilan. He said the amount included an additional allocation of nearly 1 billion ringgit for the state's development.
Apa dia projek baru? Jalan susur dari Tol Baharu Seremban ke lingkaran tengah Seremban. Kos 600 juta ringgit. Jalan dan jambatan Sungai Sepang bagi menghubungkan Bukit Pelanduk, Port Dickson dengan Sungai Pelek, kos 160 juta ringgit.
The government is also allocating 5.8 million ringgit for repair of health clinics in Jelebu, Jimpol, Kuala Pilah, Port Dickson, Rembau, Seremban and Tampin, and 318 million ringgit for the construction of new mosques. Datuk Seri Anwar also said the unity government has resolved the issue regarding the Residency Prima Seremban Central Housing Project, and handing over of 891 of the units to buyer will be made from next month. In a separate event, Datuk Seri Anwar has urged Proton to move forward and reclaim its position as a leading automotive company, making Malaysia a hub for exports. In making the call, the Prime Minister said this as Malaysia has the potential to become a regional automotive industry leader.
Itu syukur, Alhamdulillah, kerana kita dapat bertahan walaupun ada zaman pasang surut dan liku-liku yang membimbangkan, dan saya percaya dengan pengurusan baru dan komitmen yang baru nampak ada lonjakan semangat keupayaan untuk mengangkat kedudukan Proton dan sekarang Proton Geely sebagai industri yang mempunyai potensi besar bukan dalam negara kita tetapi juga di ASEAN.
Datuk Seri Anwar said this in his speech during Proton's 40th anniversary celebration and launch of the new Proton X90 at the Malaysia International Trade and Exhibition Centre in Kuala Lumpur on Sunday. He said that plans are underway to further develop national car manufacturer Proton's Tanjung Malim plant into a regional hub with foreign investment from Chinese automaker Zhejiang Geely Holding Group Company Limited, or Geely, adding that the end goal is to eventually develop the entire enterprise and plant into an integrated automotive centre.
Ladies and gentlemen, behold the intelligence that empowers.
Pakatan Harapan and Barisan Nasional reached an understanding with seat allocations on Sunday night, when both coalitions decided to divide the work in the 6 states which will be going to the polls. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said this was being done because 3 of those states were currently led by PH-led state governments, and the remaining 3 would be tasked to BN.
Walaupun dia banyak melibatkan BN dan PH, tapi kita juga akan undang parti-parti yang ada cawangan atau gerakan di Semenanjung. Pimpinan parti lain yang tidak bertanding akan terus memberikan kerjasama dan sokongan untuk menunjukkan kesepaduan dan kerjasama dalam kerajaan perpaduan.
Datuk Seri Anwar, however, remained coy on the latest progress in seat allocations when pressed for further details. He said he would leave it to the state party leaders to decide on the matter, and they will present it to the Unity Government Leadership Consultative Council to be finalised. Datuk Seri Anwar was speaking at a media conference after chairing the council meeting at Menara Dato' on Kuala Lumpur. The meeting, which began at around 8 p.m, was chaired by Datuk Seri Anwar, who is Pakatan Harapan chairman, and attended by leaders of coalition parties in the Unity Government. State elections in Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, Pulau Pinang, Kelantan, Kedah and Terengganu are expected to be held after their respective state assemblies are dissolved by the second half of June this year. The Attorney General's Chambers, AGC, on Sunday denied issuing a media statement on the prosecution of Chief Secretary to the government, Tan Sri Muhammad Zuki Ali. Attorney General Tan Sri Idris Harun vehemently denied releasing the document, which had gone viral. In a statement, Tan Sri Idris said the false media statement, which used the national emblem and the AGC's name, stated the AGC had received an investigation paper on the allegations against Tan Sri Zuki Ali from the Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim's special officer, following his directive. However, based on observation, the Chief Secretary to the government's name in the media statement was not accurate. The false media statement also stated that the decision to prosecute Tan Sri Zuki was based on evidence and facts of the investigation and not due to pressure from any party or other factors. The Health Ministry will carry out a risk assessment of the COVID-19 infection situation in the middle of next month. Its Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa said the assessment is necessary to review the declaration of local areas of infection, which will expire on June 30th. Dr. Zaliha said the evaluation was also to determine the government's next direction involving the latest protection measures against COVID-19.
Tahap kepada kes-kes tersebut adalah tahap rendah 1 dan 2, tetapi apapun pandangan-pandangan itu akan kita sentiasa kita lihatlah keadaan di negara kita dan kita lihat macam mana sama ada untuk kita menerima pakai apa yang telah disarankan oleh WHO kepada negara kita.
She said this to reporters after attending a town hall session on the White Paper on Health in Johor on Sunday. Dr. Zaliha also said the ministry will consider local factors in making any decision on the next direction. On Friday, WHO declared that COVID-19, which for over 3 years has killed millions of people, no longer constitutes a global health emergency. The government is still discussing the best way to resolve the issue regarding the price of flight tickets to Sabah and Sarawak, which have been known to soar above 1,000 ringgit during the festive season. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said his ministry is still ironing out some details before the issue is brought to Cabinet soon.
Nanti kita akan
dah masuk ke kabinet ke?
Ya, sedang dibincangkan.
Di kabinet?
Ya.
Loke said this to reporters after opening the Johor DAP convention in Muar. Following reports of exorbitant ticket prices during the Aidilfitri holidays last month, Loke had announced that his ministry would be examining the mechanisms to overcome the issue of expensive flight tickets prior to all festive seasons, especially for routes to and from Sabah and Sarawak. He said he was given a mandate by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim during the last cabinet meeting to be responsible for finding a solution to the issue. He also said the ministry is planning a similar initiative to help students returning to their hometowns, not only during the festive season, but also during semester breaks, adding that the target group for the initiative would first be students from public institutions of higher education. Efforts are underway to retrieve assets linked to the One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB scandal, including from investment bank Goldman Sachs. 1MDB Task Force Chief Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani said various efforts are in place to recover the assets siphoned through the scandal.
Saya lebih menumpukan kepada asset recovery, whereas mana-mana yang melibatkan kes-kes jenayah dan juga melibatkan penangkapan itu semua akan dibuat oleh pihak berkuasa. Saya cuma menumpukan pada asset recovery saja. Jadi insyaAllah I think many more yang kita tengah buat, khususnya dengan Goldman Sachs.
Datuk Sri Johari said this when met at the Federal Territory Aidilfitri Open House held at Dataran Pintu Gerbang in Kampung Baru on Sunday. On Friday, Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki confirmed the arrest of a suspect involved in the agency's investigation of the 1MDB and SRC International Sdn Berhad cases. Upon his arrival at KLIA2, the man who had been missing since 2018 was handed a notice to appear at the MACC headquarters in Putrajaya at 10 a.m. on Saturday. On the same day, Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim also confirmed that negotiations are ongoing to bring Low Take Joe or Jolo back to Malaysia to face the music. The Education Ministry, MOE, has once again advised all schools to not organise any activities outside the classroom, such as cross-country runs and sports activities, for the safety of students, given that the weather condition is still hot at the moment. Its Minister Fadlina Siddiq said her ministry held a session with all education departments in the state to provide guidance to ensure that schools do not conduct outdoor activities at this time.
Penangguhan itu bersifat sementara berdasarkan keadaan cuaca lah, dan ada setengah negeri cuaca semakin baik, ya. Jadi kita akan pantau dari semasa ke semasa dan akan sentiasa memberi pedoman berdasarkan garis panduan dan juga nasihat daripada kementerian-kementerian yang berkaitan.
She said this at the Nibong Tebal constituency's Aidilfitri Open House in Pulau Pinang on Sunday. Fadlina also confirmed that so far, no school has been closed due to the hot weather, but her ministry was taking various approaches and remains on alert for any eventuality. The Pulau Pinang state government will explore the possibility of scaling down or postponing part of the Pulau Pinang South Island's PSI project after the federal government agreed to fully finance the state's LRT project. Chief Minister Chow Kon Yeow said state officials will soon meet up with the project delivery partner to discuss the matter so that a decision could be made on the next course of action.
Silicon Island memang kalau kita tambak itu pun tak cukup untuk sebab saya sudah jelaskan kan, Silicon Island adalah low-rise industrial development. Of course ada komponen komersial, perumahan dan lain. Tujuan utama Silicon Island adalah mewujudkan Green Tech Park untuk kesinambungan, kelangsungan industri teknologi tinggi daripada yang lepas lah. So itu mempunyai matlamat ekonomi yang amat penting lah. Jadi kita lihat secara keseluruhannya dan buat keputusan sewajarnya lah.
Chow said the sale of land from the PSI project was supposed to fund the LRT project, but said that in light of the announcement by the federal government to finance the LRT project, the state government could afford to scale down or postpone part of PSI, particularly involving the islands B and C. He added that some time would be needed to decide on the matter, as the announcement by the federal government had just been made on Saturday. Chow also stressed that the state will still be involved in the LRT project as it will help with the land acquisition and other matters. On Saturday, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim announced that the federal government had agreed to finance the state's LRT project by adding funds in a large scheme to the Pulau Pinang government. The implementation of the LRT project would also be taken over from the state government to enable the LRT project to be implemented immediately. The issue of ensuring retirement savings for workers in Malaysia has been at the forefront of policy debates recently. However, raising minimum wages or introducing progressive wages should be in the spotlight, as it could improve the quality of life for workers and drive economic growth. Hakim Azman reports.
The recent proposal to increase Employees Provident Fund EPF contribution rate from 13% to 20% has been put forward as a way to address the issue of retirement savings for workers. Malaysian Trade Union Congress MTUC President Muhammad Effendi Abdul Ghani, however, said the government should consider other fundamental issues before implementing it.
The fundamental is more about the gains about the salary, because salary is the income for the workers or the employees. So when we increase the salary, at the same time we will increase the contribution on the SOCSO. That's why we need a progressive wages, we need a living wage in our country now, because the minimum wage now to be revised 2 years one. This is you need to reform, you need to restructure back. Is it worth it that we have to revise our minimum wage 2 years one, or every 6 months once, or 1 year once?
According to him, MTUC supports the proposal to increase the employers' EPF contribution rate, but he stressed that a holistic approach is necessary before implementing the change. This means that the government should engage with stakeholders, including employers and workers, to understand the potential impact of the increase and how it can be implemented in a way that balances the needs of workers and employers. On the other hand, Malaysian Employers Federation Executive Director Datuk Syamsuddin Bardan said the proposal would result in a significant increase in the cost of doing businesses.
And if we just take average of RM 3005 for individual employers affected, then we are talking about at least about 6 million people will be covered by this new proposal. Yeah, perhaps if you're talking about those kind of figures, it can be 1.47 billion per month, and of course about 44 billion per year.
Datuk Syamsuddin further said this could have a negative impact on businesses, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises that may struggle to absorb the additional cost. This, he says, the financial implications for employers will depend on their size, industry and financial position.
Employers as employees, government, we should think about trying to enhance the income of the employees. I'm not talking about wages as such, but income. In terms of sharing from the productivity increases, in terms of extra bonuses, things like that. And of course, you know, things like extra bonuses will attract EPF, things like that. So in that way, of course, that can actually beef up the savings of the employees in EPF itself.
As for Bank Muamalat Chief Economist and Social Finance Muhammad Afzal Nizam Abdul Rashid, it may be necessary to categorize employers based on their ability to absorb the increased contribution rate, as the impact of the proposed EPF contribution rate increase may vary across different sectors of the economy.
Yes, I think at this juncture, our economy has been vibrant, and the reopening of the economy has really helped to rejuvenate our domestic economy. But I think the degree of recovery varies according to the sectors. So I think ideally such measures should be taking into account the predicament faced by each sector, so that the impact can be mitigated.
While the proposal to increase the EPF contributions is aimed at improving workers' welfare, it is necessary to consider its potential impact on businesses and the economy as a whole. A collaborative effort between the government, employers and workers' representatives is crucial to find a solution that benefits all parties involved. Hakim Azman, TV3.
When we come back, Thailand begins early voting ahead of general election. Stay with us. news from the foreign front. In Thailand, many people lined up in long queues on Sunday to cast their early ballots ahead of a much-anticipated election next week. More than 2 million Thais nationwide were registered to vote early in the kingdom's May 14th general election, which is shaping up to be a clash between army-backed establishment parties and resurgent opposition movements. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, who took power in a 2014 coup before cementing control in a controversial 2019 election, has been languishing in opinion polls, with voters favouring old-school opposition party Phao Thai and the Progressive Move Forward party. However, with an electoral system heavily stacked in favour of the army-backed parties, challengers must achieve a landslide victory to have any hope of forming the next government. The election is for the 500-seat House of Representatives. Vietnam has reported a record high temperature, with climate experts warning such extreme weather events would continue. According to the National Center for Hydrometeorological Forecasting, a temperature of 44.1 degrees Celsius was measured in Vietnam on Saturday, breaking the 2019 record of 43.4 degrees Celsius. The record temperature of 44.1 degrees Celsius was indoors at Hoi Xuan Station in northern Thanh Hoa province. Weather experts and authorities across the country had advised the population to remain indoors during the hottest parts of the day. The country's scientists have also warned that global warming is exacerbating adverse weather, with the region sweltering under a heat wave in April, when neighboring countries also registered record temperatures. Over in the U.S., a man went on a rampage on Saturday, shooting dead 8 people and wounding several others before he was killed by a police officer at a Texas mall. It was understood that the shooting began around 3:30 p.m. local time, when it was busy with weekend shoppers. According to witnesses, the shooter stepped out of a sedan in the mall's parking lot before opening fire on people walking nearby. Police officer who heard the gunshots then engaged the suspect and neutralized him, as scenes of panic broke out at the sprawling facility in the shopping mall. His body sprawled on a sidewalk was one of 7 deaths at the mall when more police arrived, as 2 others died in the hospital. It was reported that a total of 14,600 people have died from gun violence in the U.S. so far in 2023. The Gun Violence Archive stated a total of 199 mass shootings have occurred, which of those killed, 521 were teens and 93 were children. Malaysia bags more gold in Phnom Penh. Sports after this break. sports, the 32nd SEA Games. The Malaysian contingent continued their impressive form after they bagged 4 more gold medals on Sunday. The latest came from the Petang event when Saiful Bahri Musmin turned on the heat to win the men's individual gold medal. The Malaysian defeated Laos's Bantanami Sautamavong 39 in the final. Karate continued to shore up the national contingent after successfully raking in 2 more gold medals. The first gold on the second day of competition was contributed by young exponent H. Surya Sankar in the men's individual kumite event under 60 kilograms after easily defeating the defending champion Ari Saputra of Indonesia 13-5. The gold rush momentum continued with karate champion and jalur gemilang bearer R. Sharmendran, who had to work hard before confirming the gold in the men's individual kumite event under 75 kilograms by defeating Cambodian athlete Sot Panith 6-5. It was Sharmendran's 4th consecutive gold in the under 75 kilograms category. With Sunday's gold haul, the karate camp has successfully clinched 4 gold medals this time, surpassing the target of 3 gold set by the Malaysian Karate Federation. The 3rd gold medal came from the Silat event when National Pencak Silat exponents Daniel Azrae Nur Azizan and Daniel Azrul Nur Azizan emerged victorious in the men's Silat Seni doubles event. The twins scored 9.945 points in the final to claim gold ahead of the Ismail Abad brothers, Al Faujan and Al Muhaidib from the Philippines. Malaysia won gold in the same event at the Southeast Asian Games in Hanoi last year via Takiuddin Hamid and Sazlan Yuga. Drugs worth over 3 million ringgit seized in Johor. The details when we return. Welcome back. A Malaysian mother and her 2 children who were trapped in the Al-Gaza region for 22 days due to the conflict in Sudan arrived home on Sunday. 49-year-old Junaidah Selamat and her 18-year-old son Muhammad Ashraf and 23-year-old daughter Juliana Ashraf arrived at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA in Sepang at 4:15 a.m. The family was greeted on arrival by Wisma Putra officials. Junaidah, however, remains fearful for her husband, Ashraf Ghazim Al-Smith, a 54-year-old Sudanese citizen who was unable to join them as he was not allowed to leave the country. In Johor, police arrested 5 men and seized various types of drugs worth 3.43 million ringgit in 2 separate raids around Pontian and Tangka on Thursday. State Police Chief Datuk Kamarul Zaman Mamat said all the men, including a foreigner aged 23 to 52, were nabbed between 8:45 p.m. and 10 p.m. Datuk Kamarul Zaman said his team also seized 64.89 kilograms of shabu worth over 2.14 million ringgit and over 58,000 ecstasy pills worth 1.29 million ringgit. He said the drug smuggling syndicate's modus operandi is to use homestays as transit points for their drug smuggling activities to neighboring countries via the sea route. The syndicate's activities are believed to have been active since January. The result of the urine test also revealed that 2 suspects were positive for drugs, while the other had a criminal record related to crime and drugs. Police also seized 4 cars, a motorcycle, 2 fibre boats and engines, as well as 1,700 ringgit and 21 Singapore dollar in cash. All suspects have been remanded for a week beginning Friday, and the case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look at Windsor's preparation for the arrival of thousands of street parties and lunches ahead of a star-studded concert on the second day of events for the coronation of King Charles III. You have been with me, Liyana Hassanel, for the past half an hour. Thank you for tuning in and have a great week ahead.